Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Are you ready to podcast?
No.
Oh, God, I don't know what happened there.
No, I'm not. Turn it off, I'm going home.
On the Film vs. Film podcast, Thunder Force is out on Netflix this week and stars Melissa McCarthy. So we'll be doing Melissa McCarthy films this week. My pick, it wasn't a difficult decision at all, really. I went for Bridesmaids. I think this one was certainly the one that made her name, really. So, yeah, I went with Bridesmaids for Melissa McCarthy films. All right, let's go straight on to, yes, you've guessed it, directing first. There are many, many funny scenes in this. It's just ridiculous. This is one of my favourite comedies, I think, of recent years, certainly. You know, and it's all women, pretty much. A few male characters, but it's majority a female cast, which is great. You know, this is certainly not just for women audiences. It's, you know, it's for men as well, definitely. But certainly one of the scenes I quite liked. We'll get into the bigger stuff as well as we go along, but I love the tennis scene. It's kind of like really directed really well with this like Zack Snyder slow-mo.
Yeah, especially where they're hitting each other in the boob.
Yeah.
It's like, boom, boom, ah! Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really hate each other's breasts.
Yeah, directed by Paul Feig. Yeah, and like Anna and Helen are just giving each other the eyes in slow-mo in these close-ups. It's really cool with like an AC/DC song playing in the background, which is great. And then one of the kids says, "Oh God, I've seen better playing than a tampon commercial."
Yeah, that was quite funny.
Which is great. Any other scenes that you
like loads.
Boaz? Oh yeah, I forgot to introduce Boaz. Boaz is on the podcast again,
am I?
by the way.
Am I?
Yeah,
are you sure? Are you sure? No, I should be, yeah. As if people don't know already, you know. What would this show be without me?
Yeah.
What was it? I like the shitting scene. Phenomenal. Yeah, it should have won an Oscar for best scene. It's just, it's amazing.
Yeah, just carnage.
They go to fit their dresses, bridesmaids' dresses, and they start to feel very poorly from the Brazilian food place that she recommended.
Do you think the shitting in the sink is the worst part by Megan? And she says, "It's coming out like lava." And you're like, nope. Then Becca throws up on Rita, and you think that's the worst part, you know? And she says, "Get the fuck away from me," which is great. And then you're like, nope, the worst part is Lillian literally shitting in the middle of the street in a wedding dress. I'm like, oh my God.
I think it's kind of a miracle.
It's just hilarious.
Lily kept her as the bridesmaid after that. I wouldn't have just... Yeah, it's like, not just like the bridesmaid, but, you know, maid of honor.
Maid of honor. Yeah.
I wouldn't have kept her as a maid of honor, or the bridesmaid, or even my friend. I think once that happened, get the hell out of here, you know. But it's so some serious...
Yeah, like
serious loyalty, but she's a mess. The film is her 2 hours of her being a complete mess. But you know, she does redeem herself at the end, as is, which feels good. But yeah, good God, she's a mess.
Mainly by sinking really well in the song that they do at the end, you know.
Yeah.
But I think one of my other favourite scenes, which I think certainly editing wise, you have to do it. You have to pitch it really quite well to make it work, is the plane scene, because you have all these different scenes developing and it's all fairly calm at the start to this total craziness at the end before they land in Vegas. Rita and Becca are talking about their bad sex lives with their husbands, and then they end up snogging at the end. And Megan is like guessing if the guy next to her is an air marshal or not. And then at the end, it is revealed that he is an air marshal, and Megan ends up taking out Annie. Oh,
Yeah.
it's brilliant. And obviously, Kirsten Wiig, who plays Annie, is like a really nervous flyer, and she's getting, really drunk. She's
Well, especially
nervous.
because she's sat sat with somebody she doesn't know who's just freaking her out more and more. The woman is like, I had a dream we'd die in this plane and you were in it. It's like, oh, Jesus. So she starts freaking out.
And she says something like, "Oh, I heard once a woman got sucked into the toilet."
It's like, leave me alone, you maniac. But yeah, she makes it a lot worse. Because I think even she was told by Helen to just take a sip of her scotch, but the woman's like,
Oh, yeah.
just down it, honey. Just
neck it, man. Just go for it.
Yeah. Man.
But I really like the Kirsten Wiig scenes actually in that scene, because she ends up like talking on the tannoy. She thinks she sees a colonial woman on the wing.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's brilliant. And she disguises herself just with sunglasses to sneak into first class.
That was funny.
It's like, this is Nicky.
Yeah. What kind of a name is Stove? It's Steve.
But I quite like the moment actually just before she goes on the tannoy, because there's a shot of her just looking out of the window, and you don't get like the reverse shot of actually what she's looking at. So it creates this great like little suspense of like, oh shit, what is she gonna do? What has she seen? So it's quite a good choice to not actually to show that shot of what she's actually looking at.
Definitely.
That scene was just really well pitched and really well edited, because I think if you get the editing wrong in that, the whole thing just falls apart, I think, for me.
Yeah. I think, as you said, it's like gradual escalation into kind of like insanity.
I like the drive-by sequence where Annie and Helen are together in her car, and they're trying to get the cops' attention, played by Chris O'Dowd, and it's hilarious because they do like speeding, a litter bomb, texting while driving, drinking while driving, loud rap music. And Annie's like bobbing her head to the music.
She does that skidding thing where she skids the car 360 degrees.
Handbrake turn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kirsten did not do that, but it would be amazing if she did. That would be cool. I think my favourite one was when they do the drive-by where where they pretend no one's in the car, and she says, "Hey, who's driving that car?"
I'm topless. I'm taking my top off.
Yeah.
And she rear ends him.
Yeah,
that was funny.
Any other sequences you liked in the film, directing-wise?
The directing definitely helps, but the script is just really genuinely quite good. So I think you'll end up eking into talking just mainly about the script when you talk about scenes. When she loses her shit, that was quite funny. Like towards the end, where she's given her like a box of all this stuff from when they were children. And then Helen's like, "Oh, I didn't get you anything," and it's tickets to Paris. And she's like, "Are you fucking shitting me?" And she goes mental and starts destroying everything.
Yeah, I love the physical acting from her, because she tries to tries to take out the giant cookie.
It falls on top of her.
It falls on her.
Yeah. She's like eating it,
and then she tries to push over
chocolate fountain. Yeah.
She tries to push over the chocolate fountain.
Then she's like putting her arms in and trying to sweep out all the chocolate, and she's like, "Oh God, it's hot, my arms."
Just great, physical acting from her and improv. I think a lot of that is, again, like we said with "Call Me by Your Name." I got it right, and. I suspect in that scene, certainly with the directing, again, it's this same thing of there's a giant cookie, there's a chocolate fountain, just go nuts. You're really pissed off with Helen and Lillian, just go nuts. There's not a lot of direction there. You're just trusting your actors in those improv moments, and it's amazing.
Well, I was reading that Kristen Wiig actually co-wrote the script, so... Yeah, she did.
Oh, did she?
So basically, if she improvs or not, it's all her. Basically every line that anybody said is her, really. But I think it's the epitome of a really awkward comedy. It's funny watching this woman basically ruin everything. She's so goddamn awkward, and it's so cringy. But it's just It is funny. It's really funny. And yeah, her acting is really good, and just the way her physical performance, as you said, is pretty good. Also, it opens up with the most unsexiest sex scene I've ever seen with Kristen Wiig, and I thought that was hilarious. Where she's having sex with her boy toy, John Hamm, who a famous madman. She wants him to be her boyfriend and stuff. But the sex scene is hilarious. It's just so awkward. It's horrible. I found it funny where he's got her in missionary and she's like flailing around like a kipper. It looks,
Her legs are going all over the place.
It's like, it's so funny. You can tell she's not really enjoying herself. Yeah, that was funny.
And the noises as well. Was just like... or something. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it was just the most uncomfortable, unsexiest sex scene I've ever seen. Yeah, try having an erection through that. It's impossible.
But yeah, I think my favourite shot, like leading up to where Kristen Wiig goes crazy on the cookie, is
that's just an amazing. It's just an amazing bit of alliteration there. Kirsten Wiig goes crazy on a cookie. Yeah, I know.
It's true. That's
I
what
know.
happens.
That should be like a Dr. Seuss book. Kirsten Wiig goes crazy. That's funny. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, she hears that, Helena's given Lillian a plane ticket to Paris, and you get a shot of a really long push-in from Feig with the camera right from wide shot right into close-up. It's really quite quick, and all the directing has been fairly simple, just allowing the actors to do their thing until this point, where you get this really expansive push-in to her face, and it's just like, oh shit, what is she gonna do here? Yeah, it's just a really good choice there. You get that feeling of what she's gonna oh shit, what is she gonna do next, just from that camera push in, because the rest of the rest of the directing's been really simple. Yeah, so it was a really great choice there for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Of expressing her feelings with camera movement as well as the acting. I don't think you really had that much before in the rest of the film. Have you got a favourite shot in particular?
Okay, so this is kind of simple, but I kind of like it where she's picking herself up again, like her life is gone to crap. She's been kicked off of the wedding. That sister and brother couple that she stays with, who, Matt Lucas plays the... Good God, they're weird.
And Rebel
Wilson.
Wilson.
Are strange. Like they're like, shaving each other in the bath. They're just so weird. And but they're like, they kick her out in kind of the most awkward way. It was like, yeah, it is a bit strange, brother and sister living together with, some other person. So we've decided to kick you out so we can just live together. It's like, all right. Yeah, so she's kicked out. She goes home. That guy doesn't really want to talk to her. She's kind of lost everybody and everything, really. But then she starts baking a cake, and you're like, okay. She bakes a cake as an apology to the cop, because he cared for her quite a bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I just kind of like that scene of she puts the cake down, and then just like it's like several quick little cuts. Well, it's not quick, but it goes for a couple of days. She just keeps driving by to see if he's picked up the cake.
By,
But I just kind of like that. It's like from her point of view, like he comes out, just leaves it. Next day, like there are raccoons and stuff, He still hasn't come.
Yeah, it's quite a good fake out there, because you assume the raccoons ate it all, but, Chris O'Dowd says, oh, we had to fight some raccoons.
I liked your cake, I had to
so
fight some raccoons to have a taste, So he eventually forgave her and tried her cake.
And one last thing for directing, I'm never eating a bear sandwich after that image right at the end. Fuck no.
Yeah? Bear sandwich. Okay,
No
fair
way.
enough.
Did you see the end credit scene?
I don't know. I think I may have stopped and turned it off, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. They were just singing. I was like, fuck it,
No, you need to go back. There's a post-credit scene with Megan and the air marshal with the air marshal just in pants.
No.
And on.
Oh my god, I missed something. Oh no, that's terrible. I'll watch it afterwards.
The air marshal is just naked, well, half naked on the bed, and Megan has got this massive bear sandwich with like ham and cheese in it.
Oh my god!
And she puts it on his belly, and she like starts eating it from his belly. It's just like what?
Okay, I'm sort of glad I didn't watch that now.
It's a
That's
horrible
horrible.
image.
That's disgusting. All right, so I can carry on eating bear sandwiches. You know.
Yeah,
They've been ruined.
So score for directing, Boaz.
Like it's one of those things where I think it's like it's competently directed, you know, and it does its job. Yeah, it just does its jobs, right? You know, it gets across the message of the script and the acting and everything. But I don't think it's not too showy, and it's not something that I would just be like I would ever sort of focus too much on, like the directing, more the acting and the script.
No, yeah.
I'd maybe go like a 6.9 or something.
For me, I think the directing from Paul Feig shows a lot of confidence with the fact that he recognises that the strongest element of this film is the script and the actors, this incredible cast that they've created and in the film, and Paul Feig recognises that he really doesn't need to do much with the camera to make this film work. Just put it in the right place so the actors can do their thing.
I think
so I think you can't disregard
100%.
for me.
I remember actually saying I think I may have saw it yesterday. I can't remember exactly where from and who said it, but it was a director 90% of their job is casting, and I quite liked that.
Yeah, that's what.
Is that literally what you said yesterday?
Yeah. On the
oh shit! For some reason, I thought it was said by somebody more intelligent than you. I was like, some sage must have said this. Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yes, I am very intelligent. You know, on the LGBT.
Oh yeah, shit. Of course you did. Sorry about that.
Yes, I did. And my score is going to be 7.2 for directing. Moving on. I'm going to be pissed off for the rest of this.
I'm sorry, my little genius.
Right.
Yeah. I forgot that.
The fucking screenplay is really fucking
it's
funny.
It's absolutely hilarious. That's the second wise thing you've said.
Yes. It fucking is.
What are you just channeling in your inner Samuel Jackson? What's up with all?
Yeah, he's not in this film, so I don't know what's happening there.
In fact, I think there's only one. There's one F word in this film. Yeah, I think so. Like where Helen shows Annie her children. It's like stepchildren, you know. And it's it's my husband's children. I can't remember what she offers them. Offers them something, and they're like, just fuck off, Helen.
Yeah, and then there is another one from Rita when Rita is first introduced, and she's talking about her kids, and she says, "No, we're not ordering pizza."
Oh, yeah.
Mum, why don't you just fuck yourself?
Yeah,
He's
that was
9.
Funny. Jesus Christ. Yeah, those are Samuel L. Jackson's children.
But I think certainly the line that gets everyone talking about this film, and it's in the trailer, and you're always waiting for this moment, is when all the bridesmaids walk into like the bridesmaid showroom, and Megan comes in and says, "Oh man, this place is classy shit here." I want to apologize. I'm not even confident of which end that came out of.
Yeah, that was funny.
You know,
she is good in this film.
But I think my second favorite is definitely Rita, played by Wendy McLeod Covey. Oh, I got that wrong. The line where she's introduced, she's talking about her boys, and she says, "There is semen everywhere. I snapped a blanket in half."
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It's like,
ew,
that is disgusting. And I really love and it's really cringy as well for me. I hate cringe. I can't really watch cringe very well. That's why I just can't watch Dragon's Den. It's like, I can't do it. Anyway, I love the speech battle scene at the engagement party with Helen and Annie when they first meet. And they're just like competing for, the affections of Lillian. And they end up like duetting together in Spanish. Oh no, yeah, they end up duetting together, and then because Helen does this whole thing in Thai, Annie does this whole speech in Spanish, and you just know he's not speaking Spanish properly at all, even if you don't know Spanish. It's like, yeah, that's weird. Well, I think she even says "twaxia." I'm like, yeah, that's not a Spanish word.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, Spanish people will be like,
what on earth is she talking about? I loved in that speech battle thing where like they just keep taking the mic off of each other, and we're done for speeches today. It's like I just like to say one more. Yeah, just really quick, really. And I like it where Helen is like, we're so close. I feel like you can know what I'm thinking just by looking, and she just gives her a kind of like haunting, and she's like, oh, teary-eyed and stuff. Annie tries the same thing where she kind of just like looking at her really funny, like head cocked and just eyes twitching and stuff. Everyone's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
Yeah, there's so many great lines.
I liked, what was it? The bride's father, where he gave his speech just before they gave their speech battle. And he's like, what the hell did he say? He said, I wish you guys could get married now so I don't have to pay for this goddamn thing. And they all laugh. And he's like, I am serious.
Pay for this shit.
He's like, I'm serious. And they still laugh. No, I'm serious. They still laugh.
Yeah, there's some great lines. Like, I'm sure she still greets him Beaver first from Annie's mum, I think.
Yeah, about her husband's new wife or whatever. I like the bit where you first see her like come to the engagement party, and everybody thinks she's with someone. You could tell, she's very self-conscious about being alone. And she talks to this couple who are all like sweet, and it's just making her sick. They go, oh, and is this your husband? And it's just some random guy behind her. And he's like, no, he's got nothing. He's like, oh, do you want to have a drink after this? It's like, no, leave me alone. They keep doing that. They keep doing that to her.
That's really well directed, actually.
Funny. Yeah.
Good reveals.
Happens again with when Melissa McCarthy meets her. Is that your man? It's like, no, who the fuck is this guy? He's like, thank God, because I would climb that like a tree, Yeah.
What does Megan say? Physically, I don't bloat. It's a gift. I want balls in my face. From Rita.
Yeah.
And there's another one from Rita on the plane. Like, sometimes I just want to watch The Daily Show without him entering me.
Yeah, I remember where he was like, I thought you said you haven't had sex in 5 years. No, he hasn't kissed me in 5 years. We have sex like every night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Becca says to Rita, you're more beautiful than Cinderella. You smell like pine needles and you have a face like sunshine. Annie says to Helen, oh, it's the first time I've ever seen you look ugly. It makes me kind of happy.
Yeah, that's funny. I like that.
When she's in the car.
Crying, yeah. I like that.
And Megan at the Brazilian restaurant, when she says, when they're thinking about ideas for what they should do, for the baby shower. And she says, Fight Club. Female Fight Club. We grease up, we pull up. Lillian doesn't know, so it's a surprise. We beat the shit out of her. She's never going to forget that.
Yeah, I like the one with where she's made to sort of storm out of the one of the parties or whatever, like Helen's throwing. After with the giant cookie and stuff. Yeah. She's like, she's not allowed a puppy, and she goes completely mental. Lily is like, does anybody else want anything to share? There's like, Megan puts up her hand. Is like, I took 2 puppies because they're offered one puppy. But then when Annie is driving away, to the side is driving Megan, and her van is full of puppies. There must be like 6 or 7 puppies there.
It's like, how many do you have? 9. I took 9. Funny. But I think my favourite line is when Lillian and Annie are arguing after she takes out the cookie and tries to push over the chocolate fountain. She comes out to confront Annie, and she says, and Annie says, like, oh, I suspect Helen has a really nice asshole, bleached her asshole. And then Lillian's like, I got my asshole bleached too, and I love my new asshole.
Yeah,
I think that's my favourite line. It's just brilliant. Have you got a favourite?
Oh, man, there's quite a few. So, I think the script is really funny because there are quite a few moments you can just rack off. Yeah.
Come on, yours is I want balls in my face. Is that right? Yeah.
You're not asking me if I want balls in my face, right? because I don't.
No,
No,
no one needs that in their life.
not right now, anyway.
Score, Boaz. What you going for?
Yeah, the script I think was genuinely
screenplay.
it was absolutely hilarious. So yeah, 8.4 maybe.
We haven't really talked much about the structure of the film, just all the
yeah.
jokes. But I mean, you watch this for the jokes.
Yeah,
really.
like I mean, if you're talking about the structure of the film, like you can tell that she is desperately lonely. She wants a guy, but you know, she's just not really where she needs to be right now. She lost her bakery. That was funny as well because they have like she called it cake. Well, I think it was like the cake shop or something. And towards the end, when her life is falling to shit and everything's going wrong, somebody's graffitied it and called it cock shop. Like, do you remember that? Yeah. But yeah, you know, she doesn't really have any like men that like treat her with any respect, and you know, and her friend is getting married, and her friend seems to have a new best friend. So yeah, you can just say that, you know, it's kind of about like her fall and rise, really. It's very sort of basic stuff like that. She's very jealous, overcompensating, because she's the maid of honor, but this other friend of the bride is like just seems like a much better person than she is, you know.
I mean, all that stuff kind of works, but it doesn't. I mean, it hits home a little bit, but you know, you watch this film for the jokes. Really,
I would say structure-wise, it's you know, it's got the structure that you'd think any film like this has. It's like Meet the Fockers or whatever. You know how it's going to happen. He's very, very awkward, and he kind of loses everybody's trust, and you know, goes off the deep end, but then gains everybody's trust at the end. You know? It's a fairly basic, you know, plot that's been done a lot. I think the massive saving grace of it is it's very, very funny.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with like a solid 8, I think. Acting then. Who's your favourite performance from the Bridesmaids?
Maybe Melissa McCarthy, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy just knocks it out of the park. Kristen Wiig
is amazing.
Incredible. You know, it's really her film, I guess. But yeah, I mean, every scene, you know, Megan is in, she kind of steals the show.
She's really kind of like clueless, loud, you know. Just, oh man. I don't know. She's just quite funny. She just kind of says what's on her mind.
And I kind of love the look on Kirsten Wiig's face when she sees Rose Byrne's character, Helen, for the first time. All it's saying is just, bitch. You know, I'm her best friend, not you. That was a really great moment from her. I like Chris O'Dowd in this film as well. There's only really like 2 male characters because you never really get to know Dougie at all. I think he, you know, Lillian's husband, who she's actually getting married to. I think he has like a few shots.
Yeah, you don't. He doesn't really talk to anybody. You don't really know him.
But I quite like the fact that they don't really choose to go, you know, down that angle at all in the story. It's quite refreshing. That
I'd say, you know, the women are front and center. It isn't like. You know, a woman's, you know, quote unquote, a woman's comedy, but it just feels like it stars women, you know, featuring women. I mean, it's a female comedy.
Brilliant.
But, you know, it can be enjoyed by guys because it's not like, you know, overly dramatic or sentimental. It's funny, you know, and it's not I would say like political or anything like that. It's funny. It's not taking itself serious. It's just it's just a comedy with girls.
Yeah, Chris O'Dowd has a great little moment when he finds out Annie's car is completely busted because of her broken tail lights, and then John Hamm's character arrives and he says, "Boom, what's up, fuck buddy? Can I offer some roadside assistance?" And Chris O'Dowd just gives him a really long look for a beat. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing here? And then looks at Annie for a long moment and then just says, "Come on." You know, it's just written like seriously all over his face. It's just a great moment. For Chris
I think
O'Dowd.
what was it? Yeah, definitely. Chris, he's kind of like he's got quite a lot of heart. He's quite a nice guy. I kind of like when, you know, she does like sleep with him and then just leaves abruptly and is like quite, you know, frumpy. But then she's on the phone about how, you know, what the mistake she's made is like. There's a guy that treats me with some dignity and I fucking run away, you know. John. Is it John Hamm? Yeah, John Hamm's quite funny. Even though he's in very little scenes, he's like scum. He's horrible scum. He's like exaggerated scum.
Oh, yeah.
I just like how the first scene after he's had like sex with her and stuff, which again, as I said, was the most awkward, just weird sex scene I've ever seen. And then afterwards, like, she does her makeup and then pretends she's just woken up like that. And he's like, "Oh, you're still here." And he goes, "Listen, I don't know how to tell you to leave without sounding like a dick." You know?
It's like, no,
Yeah,
you're a dick already. Sorry.
Or even when he's rescuing her, driving her home, and he's like, "You can rest your head on my lap if you want." You know?
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
I was just like, really? That doesn't play too well these days.
Well, I think he's meant to be the villain, so you can do that. You know, he is a
yeah.
And I think she already knows that, but she definitely realizes. You're. Yeah.
I really like the pity party scene between Megan and Kirsten on the sofa. They literally have like a really, a wrestling match with poking her. That was great.
Yeah.
Megan bites her ass at one point.
Yeah,
and then ends with Wig just slapping Megan in the face. I think that looked like a genuine slap to me.
It looked pretty real.
So what's your favourite performance?
Yeah, well, I think I'll just say Melissa McCarthy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think mine is Kirsten Wig, to be fair, just for her incredible physical acting.
I mean, the cookie scene is like
great.
Is insane. It is absolutely insane, and she definitely sounds it. Yeah, maybe Kirsten Wig with Melissa McCarthy being quite a close second. I think she's used sparingly, and it is Kristen Wiig's film. So yeah, I should probably give it to her.
So what's your score for acting?
I'm going to go, probably like 8.4.
Yeah, I think I'll go the same, actually. Yeah, I mean, not just Kirsten Wiig is great with the physical acting. Quite a few of them are really good. Maya Rudolph's great. And, it's very much an ensemble piece in some ways, not just Kirsten Wiig's film. They're all really, really good comedy actors, really, and it just works with all of them. So, yeah, I think 8.4 is a good score. Right, let's add up the scores then for Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids gets 47.3, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Right, moving on then to Boaz's pick. What is your pick, sir?
My pick is...
For Melissa McCarthy
it's
films.
a film called Can You Ever Forgive Me? Is that right? I think that's what it's called.
Yes,
I believe that's
so.
what it's called.
From 2018, directed by Maria Ella Heller.
Nice.
Starring Richard E. Grant and Melissa McCarthy, of course. Do you really like this one then? Because you've never seen this before. It was a random pick for you.
I just went through a list of this guy's opinion on what the best Melissa McCarthy films were. This came out on top, so I was like, yeah, I'll give it a watch. I really enjoyed it. I didn't actually know what it was about or literally anything about it.
True story.
It is a true story, which was a surprise. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. So I'll give a summary of it fairly quickly. Melissa McCarthy plays a author called Lee Israel. She's not doing too well at the moment. Like, her books have not sold especially well. She's writing a biography of a comedian, female comedian, Fanny Bryce. Nobody really wants it, so she's down on her rent, she's down on her luck, she's alone. So yeah, nothing's really going right. And during the film, she kind of comes up with the idea of, like, she has a letter from another author, because, she's friends with other authors and what have you. And she's behind on her, like, veterinary bills. Her cat's sick and, she can't pay for it. So she tries to sell in this local bookstore, like, this letter she had. The woman doesn't give her much for it. She doesn't offer much because she's like, yeah, it's good, but if there was more to it, if it was more of a dramatic letter or, there was more of a character, the author's character. So she just goes home and just has the idea of just typing extra onto the letter. So she just types a few extra stuff, more personal stuff. And then manages to get quite a lot of money for it. It's like, oh, wow, that's actually... So she just comes up with this bright idea of, I will just, like, authors that are really well known, I'll just type up letters, like the, private letters, just make them up and forge their signatures and just sell them to these people that collect this sort of stuff. And she becomes good friends with this guy, Richard E. Grant, who's funny as hell. Yeah, Jack Cock. Who's basically, he's just a homeless, like, junkie, basically. But she kind of knows him and she meets him in a pub and stuff. And they become, like, co-conspirators. It's genuinely quite good.
Yeah, again, I think with the directing, I don't think the camera does anything terribly special with this film. It's not stylized. It's very much a dark drama comedy, if you will. You know, I did like the little montage sequence, I guess, where Lee Israel gets the idea to forge these letters from her own research, and sell them on. And she kind of like sees like her TV and she turns it on its side so she can trace the signature properly. I thought that was kind of well done, that little sequence, because she had been getting it wrong a few times. So it's just kind of like efficient storytelling there. And she certainly befriends one of the sellers from the bookseller's shop. And there's like a really nice cut there because she meets one of the sellers that's not buying it. She's not buying one of the forged letters that she's trying to sell to him, and then you cut to the seller that she's befriended, and having dinner with her, and it's just a really great contrast there. That at that point in the film, like the FBI is kind of on her tail a little bit, and the seller that's just not buying it, then cut to the one that she's really befriended. It's just a really great juxtaposition there of her situation in terms of her friendships as well.
Did you get the feeling that they were friends? I kind of got the feeling that she kind of had a crush. She was kind of attracted to her. Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah.
I think it was more for me that she wasn't particularly prepared to be friends with anyone. The character called Anna, played by Dolly Wells, the nice bookseller that she befriends, that she's kind of scared of just opening herself up, as well as the fact that she is lying to this woman.
Fair enough. I kind of got the sense that she was kind of attracted to her. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Any other scenes that you liked?
I think when it even starts, like, you get a sort of look into, like, her life, and it does seem quite hopeless, Especially as there's a song playing on about loneliness. It's like a 1950s little ditty thing. But she comes back from work where she doesn't really make many friends. She doesn't really like talking to people. No. Especially, like, it starts with her doing some late-night work, late-night writing. They're like, you can't smoke here. It's like, fuck off. You can't drink here. Fuck off. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the guy's there, and it's like, you need to go.
That's like the first
it's the very first scene. Like, you can tell she's not really very sociable. And then gets home, and her house is a complete tip. Just before she goes to bed, like, there's all this shit on her pillow, just all this gross. She flips her pillow, and it's equally as filthy. Yeah.
Flies.
And then just sleeps down. Yeah. I thought that was really good. It's a great introduction to, like, the hopelessness of her sort of life, her existence. Another scene I actually quite liked, and even, as you said, like, the camera work doesn't do anything, like, stylish or too special. I will say I do like the look of the quality of the film. Like, this whole kind of, I don't know, like, earthy sort of brown look of everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. This film very much has a very, like, New York-y feel to it in terms of its characters and the look of it. It just oozes New York, of just how people speak.
Yeah, very, very, again, urban and sort of
dark brown color palette.
Yeah, dark brown. It's as I said, it's quite like, it's like a bleak but natural sort of look to everything. Like it's real. It's not like it's the real nitty gritty of the city. Wow, that rhymed. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, my favorite shot is some of the night cinematography is like really nice, and there's a bit where Jack Hawke like walks off when when she walks her to her apartment, and he just walks off in silhouette with his hat on, like in semi silhouette, smoking. It looks, as you said, just that really great urban night scope scene. Definitely. Anything in silhouette, semi-silhouette, I'm going to pick it as my favorite shot.
Have you noticed, like, he goes in the opposite direction that he said he would? Like, she said, "Where do you live?" A few blocks that way. And he just wanders off the other way. He doesn't know she's looking. He doesn't have anywhere he lives. He doesn't live anywhere.
He's homeless.
Doesn't actually tell her. Well, she's already worked it out when he gets beaten up.
I mean, Richard E. Grant's character is basically the character he plays in With Nell and I.
It's the same guy.
Just like 20 years later. Have you seen that film?
I've seen clips. I need to like properly see it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, you're not going to get a more witty script than in that film. It's just a great little independent British comedy with Nail on Eye, with Paul McGann.
So, one of my favourite shots in this film is where she gets a call on the answering machine that by one of the people that she sold one of the letters to, well, 2 letters to. And he's like, you need to come to my shop immediately. We need to discuss the letters that I bought from you. When they hear that, they're like, oh my God, the jig is up. And when she's just sleeping, I like that shot of the camera above her as she's sleeping, just kind of eyes open of just like, shit. And then it kind of goes, it transitions into like her face at the shop, but it's really blurred. Like it's so out of focus.
Yeah. And they kind of like rack focus.
Yeah, definitely. It's like really, really out of focus and then focuses up. I quite like that of the, because to me that's kind of demonstrated the sort of inner turmoil she's in, the kind of anxiety of, oh crap. And I kind of thought it would be a fake out of, because it's made quite tense where, the guy's busy and she's in line and she has to get there. And then they start talking about a letter. And I thought it might have been a fake out of, no, there's nothing wrong. Oh, those letters were marvelous or whatever. But no, it's just as she feared. It's like, there's something wrong with those letters. They're not real. They're forgeries.
I definitely got a sense in this film that when she got this idea that she knew at the back of her head that she was never going to get away with this at some point. At some point, she's going to get found out. I mean, surely she was thinking that at the back of her head, in the true story as well, just like, she's got nothing to lose. She's like, why not? But this is going to go tits up at some point.
Definitely.
Surely she must have been thinking that.
I think even when she sells her first one to the girl in the shop, you can tell she doesn't think it's going to work. It's just always on her. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. Oh, good.
Yeah, I really liked the very end of the film where Lee writes a letter to the bookseller that's selling a Dorothy Parker letter that she forged herself, and she writes a letter to him as if she was, Dorothy Parker back from the dead, and it was great. And and you hear it in voiceover, and the seller like nearly takes the letter off the shop window and then decides to put it back anyway. He's like, no one will know.
Well, I think they do this.
Just a great way to.
But they do it through throughout the film that sellers of these collectibles are like they're corrupt as hell. So it's kind of reiterating that. I think to try and make her out to be more of a Robin Hood figure of. I suppose what she did was wrong, but the people she was selling to don't give a shit. They don't bother to check is the thing. You know what I mean? They're peddling all this stuff.
Yeah.
Even that guy who had the balls to, he doesn't really care. I remember, what was it, where they go to an auction show and they go, some of us don't actually care about the authenticity. It's like, who should we look out for? Because she wants to know. Somebody to sell to, and it's like that guy over there, he sells quite a lot and he doesn't really, and so she sells to him and he's like, I love how he looks at some of the letters and it's like, is this real? And she's like, yeah, I think so. It's like, doesn't matter. I don't care. It's like, whatever. People will buy them.
How much do you want?
But then he's really scummy because when she gets the FBI are involved, he says you have to give me $5,000. And I won't because they've asked me to wire up. I won't if you give me $5,000. And then she has the brilliant idea of getting Richard E. Grant to start selling her letters to him, so he's going to pay him. They're going to pay him off with his own money. That was good.
Yeah, again, as we said, it's kind of similarly directed with what Paul Feig did with Bridesmaids, but just in a very dark, humid way. But yeah, again, the cinematography is really good as well, so I'll certainly bump it up for that. So I'll go like 7.8, I think.
I think I'll give it 8.1.
Screenplay then. Yeah, there's a lot of great funny lines as well in this film. I think if you're going to cast Melissa McCarthy and Richard E. Grant, you've got to give them some good material to work with. Otherwise, there's no way they're going to sign on for your film.
I especially love any scene where they're together. Just the constant letting just they're having fun, and the constant little ribbings they're giving each other. It's quite adorable. It does seem like it's like her only real true friend in this whole thing. I think it's the first friend she's had in a while, and it is just kind of sweet. And he's quite out there, so, you know.
Oh yeah. Even his like costuming is really great as well. There's like one bit where he's just got a really open scarf just across his chest with a coat on. It's just really weird. And only like Richard E. Grant could pull that stuff off. But there's one great joke where Jack asks Lee about her new book, and Lee says, "Oh, it's about Fanny Bryce."
I was actually going to mention this line.
Jack says, "Yeah. Who's Fanny Bryce?" And she's like, "Fanny Bryce, you know, the greatest vaudeville comedian of our time." And Jack just looks at her, and then she's like, "Are you sure you're a fag?"
I really like that line. I thought that was good. Yeah, that was one of my favourite lines.
Yeah, and I love the moment where Lee tells Jack that she's forging letters, and Jack's just like not impressed at all. And she just says, "Oh, it's a waste of a secret. I should have gone out there and gotten a rock and told the rock, because I would have got a better response."
I thought that was
great.
Funny. And I like where she's trying to convince him at the end after she's, you know, he's got AIDS at the end, which is pretty horrible. Although she says to him, "You fucked most of Manhattan," you know. So he's like, But where he's like, because he's like, "No, I like my privacy." He doesn't want to be in the letter. What does he say? Yeah,
in the book at the end.
In her book, yeah. And then he's like, "Okay, but make me 29 and with perfect skin." You know, it's just quite sweet.
Yeah, and he says at that last scene, and when Jack's about to leave, like, and he says, "Oh, I really had the urge to trip you up then." And they both find it hilarious, and she says, "Oh no!" Then Jack says, "Oh, you're a horrid flea."
Yeah, that was good.
And then she just says so lovingly to him, like, "Oh, you too, Jack." You know, it's not offensive at all to each other. It's just a very like loving, dark, humid way to say goodbye, and just like the perfect way to say goodbye to these two characters.
I like where he gets brilliant. Like a boyfriend. That was a whole thing where Richard E. Grant gave her the idea, his character, where it's like nobody's buying her letters, and she's very fearful of even the ones that she's getting Richard E. Grant to give to people, because now they're getting authenticated properly. And so he comes up with this idea of, well, go to where real letters are kept and just nick them and then make copies and put them in their place. Do you know what I mean? So then you're actually selling the real ones. And she goes off and leaves him in charge. But it's like, you shouldn't leave him in charge. He's not very responsible.
That was never going to end well, as soon as you find that out.
Yeah, because she's like, "Don't go snooping and don't smoke." And immediately goes into a bedroom, lays there and smokes, you know. He's not... And then brings like his like new boy toy as like pretending it's his house. I thought that was quite funny when they first met, because he was like a waiter at some place. They were getting pastries. And the way that he's ordering, it's very flirtatious. And just as he goes, she goes something like, Did you order his cock to go in your mouth?" or something like that. And, you know, he's laughing. He's like, he started it. Yeah, it's just, it's an adorable friendship. It's really terrible, like, because they stop being friends for a bit, because he's responsible for killing a cat, really.
Don't you find it is always worse when animals die in films compared to humans? It's just like, it's just so devastating when the cat dies. And Melissa McCarthy's just so brilliant in that moment. Just telling them both to fuck off out of their house.
Yeah, she is really. Yeah, she's quite emotional. Great. And even though, like, she carries on the business with him, and she basically spells it out. He's like so apologetic. "I'm so sorry. I tried my best." And he's like, "Listen, just shut the fuck up." He's like, "We're not friends. You know, I'm just using you because I literally have nobody else. You know, just do this and don't fuck it up."
No other choice. Yeah, I mean, this film is not all laughs. There are some really poignant and sad moments, especially in the court scene where she says, "In many ways, this has been the best time of my life. It's the only time recently that I can remember being proud of my work." And that kind of really reminded me of Breaking Bad. I don't want to go into too much of Breaking Bad if you haven't seen it, but do watch Breaking Bad. It's very similar to
And if you haven't
film.
watched it, what the hell are you doing with your life? It came out years ago. Jesus Christ. Get a TV. Yeah.
But did you get that same vibe of it kind of reminding
Yeah,
me
definitely.
of that
like,
story?
because he's a teacher who's down on his luck and isn't making enough money, and he does seem like just a bit vacant when it comes to, but they both get their pride from doing this illicit thing. Initially, it's just to pay the bills, but she carries on doing it, and Walter White carries on doing it because they actually bloody enjoy it. It's
yeah, they enjoy being criminals.
the most because I do actually agree with you. It is kind of like a mini Breaking Bad in that way. It's not so as illegal or as dangerous, I would say, as Breaking Bad.
No,
but definitely in the same sort of vein. She carries on because like this is the only fun she's ever had, really. So that's why she's carrying it on. You get in a little because I didn't know it was based on a true story. Even to the end, I thought it was fictional. And then at the end, it was like she forged. It says about her real life. She forged 400 fake letters. I mean, good God, yeah, she was going for some time. But there was even some of these ended up in celebrities' their autobiographies and stuff like that. They ended up in there.
Oh, wasn't it? Yeah, one of the first printing of Noel Coward's biography, one of the fake letters was in there, and then the second printing,
yeah, exactly. It's just like that's how accurate. Yeah,
in 2007.
That's how prolific she was at writing notes and how good they were. It was like...
Yeah, but later on in that speech she gives in the courtroom, it does get. You just feel so sad for her. When she says, "It wasn't really my work, was it? I mean, but if I had to put my own work, then I would have been opening myself up to criticism, and I'm too much of a coward to do that." And I just felt really sad for her that she just really never really had the confidence to see if other people would like her own work. She's clearly an incredible writer, but she just doesn't want to open herself up to other people. And you definitely get that sense a little bit with her scenes with Anna, the good bookseller, the nice bookseller, or the gullible one, you could say. Again, yes, there's this underlying tension that she's befriended her, but she's lying to her at the same time, and Melissa McCarthy's performance is really great in that because, yes, she really wants to be friends with her and really kind of wants to open up, but can't because of her own introverted personality and just do you know what I mean? And then she just can't feel comfortable in her presence like she can with Richard E. Grant, who's just a bum, So I just thought her performance in those scenes where she can't just feel natural is great, and in this speech as well, it's just great from her.
You remember where she talks to even her agent about because she learns that. Mm-hmm. I think she learns from the bookseller that she befriends and stuff. She learns that Tom Clancy got $3 million to write his new book or whatever. She goes straight to her agent
because he's willing to do all the interviews and all the crap that goes with it.
One, he's famous. Two, he writes books that people actually want to read. You're writing esoteric stuff. Who the fuck is Franny? Whatever. Nobody cares. And three, he's out there. He's very gregarious. He's friendly. And you don't want to do any of that. You don't want to talk to people.
I guess she's just too proud of her principles, I guess, because obviously she says, Tom Clancy just is a right-wing prick or whatever. I guess she wouldn't play well anyway in those interviews, on TV and radio, because she'll just end up
just insulting and belittling everybody.
Swearing at people. Again, there's a load of good funny lines as well, like, I've just come from having my teeth bleached. How do they look? Which is a great line to introduce Richard E. Grant's character. Then he goes on to say, the renegade, the rebel, Jack Hawk, big cock.
Yeah. Oh, actually, because she said she remembers him from somewhere, and he was like, it was that writer's party, darling. He's like, yeah, you did something. I can't quite remember. And he keeps talking, and then he's like, I remember now. You had to be kicked out because you thought what was it? You thought the clothing cupboard where everybody was hanging their clothes, you thought it was the toilet, and you took a piss all over those expensive furs, and you were kicked out, yes.
Yeah. Get your feet off the couch. Really? Look at it.
I thought it was kind of sad because you could tell, I mean, you can obviously tell, but I don't think it kind of came into her mind where she invites Richard E. Grant to, her place, You know, oh yeah, you can come see me.
Mm.
And it stinks like hell, you know, and it's like, he's like, Jesus fucking Christ. And even the, is it the landlord or somebody is like, whoa, you know.
Because they want the exterminators in there,
she's
got to... But then they just leave immediately.
Like, Jesus fuck, you know. And so he does help her clean, which is nice, you know.
Yeah, I did kind of lose a little bit of respect for her because of all the shit that was under her bed. I was just like, really? Yet you love your cat, yet you allow her to shit under your bed. I'm like, what the fuck is that about?
I think maybe she's just been like depressed and just like not doing anything. It's just like, the only thing you see her kind of do is like she sits at her typewriter and just doesn't do jack shit. And then, you know, I don't know. It
was funny when Richard E. Grant like stands up after he's sweeping the shit into the pan, and he says, "Oh, I need a break." He stands up, and you see him got like cotton wool buds up his nose. So I just found that really funny. Just great performance by Richard E. Grant.
Her apartment.
I think my favorite line in the script, and kind of encapsulates this whole film, is when she says to Jack, "I have you know I'm a better Dorothy Parker than Dorothy Parker."
Yeah, that was nice.
You know, it just encapsulates the whole thing just in that one line.
It's the absolute pride in, like, you know, what she's doing. She's tricking everybody.
Have you got a favourite line then?
Yeah, the one you've even mentioned. I thought that was good. I think when that line happened, I like instantly liked her. I thought she's incredibly blunt, where she meets Richard E. Grant and is about you know, have you heard of Franny? You sure you're a fag? I love that. I thought that was fun. Yeah, I would say that's maybe my favourite line.
So score for me, I really like this script. I think it's really hard to do dark humour and just get a really good balance between not like offending people. I suspect this film has
every film's going to offend somebody. You got to not think about that. You got to think about what you like. I mean, geez.
Yeah, I think you do have to put that in consideration.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
But yeah. In terms of your balance and the tone of the film, I really enjoyed this, you know, dark humour of the script and these characters. Again, similar to like with Neil and I will just be perfectly happy just watching these two for a while.
Yeah, I think they have like quite it's quite an addictive friendship to just watch. You know, it's quite nice. You know, they're two incredibly lonely people who are eccentric and strange as hell. You know, it's nice. It's nice watching them get along.
So I'm going to go with like 8.3. How about you, sir, Mr. Encyclopedia Man?
Yeah, I think I'll go like an 8.5 maybe.
So acting then, we've kind of mentioned a lot of the acting already. Any scenes that you quite liked in terms of acting that we haven't talked about already?
After Richard E. Grant has been beaten, like you still don't actually know what the fuck he did to receive a beating that like he got. And I like that where she lets him in and like tends to his wounds and stuff. And I thought that was just kind of very tender and just quite well done, yeah.
I kind of really like the moments of uneasiness from McCarthy when she's traveling, you know, on the subway to like the posh booksellers, you know, and she's like, "Oh, am I really going to do this?" When she's doing it for the first time.
Yeah, that was good.
Just a great performance there of tension, and it's just all caught on her face. And there's just like a little bit of humour laced in there as well from McCarthy when she's talking to the bookseller, when she's selling the first letter for the first time. It's just, you can feel the tension, plus it's kind of funny as well from her. You know, it's a great mix for me.
Yeah, I like that because she's so worried, and then the girl's like, "Huh, isn't he witty?" You know, it's like, yes, he is. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I like, also, you know, going to the script, I know we've passed that, but I liked when she finally pays her landlord because like, I think he was at his wit's end. She hasn't paid in ages. And she pays him and then is like, "Where'd you get the money?" "Oh, I robbed a bank," you know, something like that.
I really like the scenes where Jack is like selling the letters now to the booksellers because the FBI is on to McCarthy's character Lee, and there's one where Jack is like haggling with like the annoying seller that's, you know, hard to sell to, you know, the one that was trying to blackmail Lee, and he's haggling with him, and says, "Oh, a store in Brooklyn offered me $200 for one," and the seller says, "For one? Why don't you sell it to them then?" He's like, "Oh, I hate the Pirates."
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
You know, only Richard E. Grant could pull that line off and that scene off. It was just no one else.
Oh, I like where, because he goes to one of the sellers and is like showing them around. What does one of them say? He goes, "How do you know that I buy things like this?" "Oh, you do, my darling." You know, it's like he's pretending to be completely clueless. "Oh, you do," you know. So, yeah.
Again, the last scene is great between McCarthy and Jack. Lee and Jack. When Lee asked permission for Jack to write this new book about their lives. And as you said, Jack has clearly got AIDS or cancer or something like that, because he's got like a scarf around his head. He's clearly losing his hair. And they're both great because they're both like really emotional and acknowledging that they're both horrible people, and we've mentioned that line already. That it's just a really great way to end the film.
I like the thing that he said of like, where she's asking him and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to be reminded of that scandal, darling." And she's like, "This isn't even going to be in the top 10 scandalous things you've done," I was like,
yeah. So what's your favourite performance? McCarthy or Grant?
Oh man, it's so difficult. I might go for Grant just because he's he's just really flamboyant. But Melissa McCarthy is really good in this as well. I mean, she's amazing. It's her film. But...
Yeah, I think they're both really great in this film. But for me, I'm going to go with Richard E. Grant as well. Mainly because I just wanted to watch With Nell and I straight after. Pretty much.
I've got to watch it. I'll try and...
Because it's basically the same character.
I'll try and watch it today. But I think, he's just a brilliant character. He's like he's just quite flamboyant, genuine. It's a bit sad as well.
Yeah.
And you can tell he knows he's quite pathetic, but,
Again, great performance of them, like right at the end, because you can clearly see tears going down his face. And again, I hope he's the one that's really producing that. And I suspect it is, because it's just such a great script and a great character to get your teeth into. So I'm going to go with like 8.6 for acting.
I think I'll go like the same. Yeah. Yeah, 8.6.
The same? Okay, let's add up the scores then for Can You Ever Forgive Me? Can You Ever Forgive Me gets 49.9. So Can You Ever Forgive Me wins this week's podcast against Bridesmaids that gets 47.3. Very fine film. I think it was up for Oscars as well. I'm not sure it won any, but great to get nominated for this kind of, dark comedy. Next week, as Mortal Kombat comes out, we'll be talking R-rated martial arts films. So it'll be really interesting to see what we pick there. Some nice bloody films, I think, getting back to the death and blood for this podcast. As ever, Boaz, you've been rather good.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off.